Hey guys, Bryce Donnie here, and for anyone who is on my Snapchat, I'm also gonna post that I posted this video on Snapchat, but I just posted basically uh something about my life, and I also want to help others. If you guys are watching this and having a hard time going through anything in life, please let me know um, if you want. I know it's really hard for a lot of people to talk about their feelings, which for me, I'm not even that easy to talk to. I had a counselor, um, she said that my mood was pretty good and everything, but about a year, even past that, it's just been rough. I'll have my rough days and I'll have my good days like really any other human being, but um something I wanted to talk about is basically depression, anxiety, stress, because they all lead up basically to be one of the same things. And um I know a lot of things happen. um I really don't want to say it, but suicidal thoughts, just bad things go in your mind, and it brings people down quite a bit. um I- one of the things is that when people get bullied or something, that can lead to a lot in someone's life. They don't feel comfortable being out of their house. They don't feel like a regular person, which everyone on earth deserves a chance. And um basically what I'm getting at is that it can be from bullying, it can be from family issues, it can be from your work, it can be from something you ran into, which um I've been bullied a few times in my life. It's never been a huge thing, mostly in elementary when kids they would be kids and everything. I kind of just let it go and stuff, but for the most part, I'd consider myself lucky because I really haven't been all that, you know, with bullies and stuff. But I have had my family issues, which if you don't know me and you're watching this video, my parents have gotten divorced, and there's no good divorces, but mine was pretty brutal. Like, it wasn't anything, a lot of it comes from drugs or something. Mine was just my parents didn't get along. And, that was pretty hard, because when parents don't get along, they fight. And there was a lot of, miscommunications, basically a lot of, I don't know what you'd want to call it, like disagreements and stuff. Um and that was one. I was working 3 jobs. Southern Motors, I absolutely love that job. When I got hired there when I was 13, I'm still there to this day, and I love it just like I did when I got hired. Um, I love it so much that if which I do try and go there every day, but it's kinda hard with school, with other things going on in my life. It's kinda hard going every day, but I had, oh, I wanna say 12 houses I was doing yards for, and, um oh, yeah, it was like I worked after Southern Motors doing landscaping for, like, mowing and stuff. Even in the winter, I'd be shoveling, making extra money and stuff. Um, I had that, Southern Motors, and I was also working for kinda like a construction thing, and, all 3 of those were real nice, but it did take a lot of your mind. It took a lot of, basically organizing, "Okay, I'm gonna do this, that, go to school, get that," and then after work, it was just a lot to, like, take in, and so, that happened, um, and other things which I'm not really gonna get into, because a lot of people might get emotional, and I know I'm still to this day emotional over it. It's something with suicide, but, that was happening during when I had my panic attack. So when I was on my way home one day, I was leaving my mom's work, from seeing her. Um, I was driving down the road and everything just clicked in at once. I was driving, had no I it's hard to even explain. It's like your mind goes from focus and then it just goes through so much, which I'm not even kidding. 3 seconds in my mind led up to 3 hours just for me to say everything what I was going through. So, I'm cutting it short with the divorce. I'm not gonna get into really, because that's basically my family's business. Um, 2 was, just a lot of things going on, with, like, working and stuff. Um it was just a lot, and once I got done telling the people, I went to the hospital after because my blood pressure was way, way too high, and, I was on IV and everything. But going back to what I was saying when I was driving, um, I was driving, and all of a sudden, it all just started kicking in, and thank God my brother was next to me. He tapped me and he said, "Bryce," like really loud. I snapped out of it and I just remember I was crying. I really at that moment couldn't think of anything I thought of until about 30 minutes after. And then I started crying 30 minutes after because it all came back in my mind what I was thinking, but it took a lot longer for me to think of everything I was thinking, which is weird to me because the panic attack, it took 3 seconds and it looked like a old film from a movie, how it's on a disc and it just shows like pictures and stuff. Like it'll be like dink, dink, tink, 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 tink. I know they use it in the movie. I don't know if you guys seen it. But when the clown starts being shown in it, and they're all like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, turn it off," and everything. That's basically what I saw in my mind. It was just clips of so much, and none of it was good. Which I try, if you guys know me, I try and live my life like to the top notch. Like I love life. I love waking up in the morning and like because life's a gift. Life is a gift. And um it was a crazy day I'll remember forever. And when I told my parents what I was thinking and everything, it took a while, but um most of it was at the hospital where I said like it took 3 hours to say everything. And I love living my life happy every day. I tell people I'm amazing every day, and that gives them a positive attitude because they're like, wow, um, I like being a good example on, how being happy and stuff. But even if you look at anybody and they say their life is perfect, that's a lie. It Life has its disadvantages just as much as it has its advantages, which I I've known, but I'm gonna say I didn't believe it as much as when it happened, which this wasn't a recent thing. It was, I think, I want to say like July or August, or maybe even in September. I remember it was warmer outside because I had my windows down. I was outside in a t-shirt. I remember that. Um, so it had to be sometime in the summer. Um, So I went there, and everything that I said that I witnessed in the 3 seconds, the doctors were like, I remember this one girl, I think she was a nurse, and she was sobbing. The one guy that came in there, he was like in shock and everything of, how much I've held in and stuff. And my mom was crying, my dad was in tears. He doesn't really cry. I haven't really seen him cry ever since I've been born, except for when the divorce happened and stuff. But yeah, I mean, life, live it like every day's your last, because honestly, driving just makes me realize it. I see so many close encounters and stuff when I'm driving, people pulling out and so it's like it could be gone in that, you never know. So live it like it's your last day every day. That's basically what I tell myself, but not every day can you do that. I mean, stuff happens in your life. A lot of it's nothing, you can stop. I mean, I couldn't stop my parents from, you know, hey, don't get divorced. That's going to help. It, you know, most most of the time it's nothing you can do about it. And it sucks, but it's a part of life. I mean, if there wasn't sadness, there wouldn't be happiness, because happiness would be non existent because you wouldn't even know what it was. And that's just something that happens when, I want to say, life can go like this. It's a roller coaster, you know? I mean, when I see somebody happy, laughing with their friends, I'm like, that's good, because they enjoy life just as much as I do, and um, I mean, it it's a long list of stuff that's happened that a lot of it can't get into, um, but another thing is just the divorce led up into more and more. When my parents got divorced for the first time, I was in 6th grade. Um, my parents didn't know how to tell me. I'm gonna start tearing up, but it's fine. Um, I remember I was in math class in I can't remember the teacher's name. I just had her name in my mind and I can't forget it, but it's fine. So I'm in class and I'm doing my work. I was talking with my friends, and teacher, her name was Miss B. I called her Miss B, and she brought me out into the hallway and she goes, your parents called, and um they're in the office right now, but they didn't know how to tell you. And she goes, and I don't really want to tell you, but we're gonna go into the um I want to say it's like a counselor area or something like that, like the teacher's lunchroom or something like that. Um and they all were there. I remember all the teachers that were there, and basically the other teachers had a substitute in their classroom because they knew that this is going to be hard on me and stuff. But so many people sat next to me and everything, and I was like, what the heck is this about? And they were like, well, um I forget really how they told me, but it led up to be divorced. And I remember I left school that day, um because I was crying quite a bit, and everybody in the room was, and uh it was just, that was hard. I was living with my mom, and my dad moved to a um he moved into his parents' house for a year because my grandpa wasn't doing good at all. He wanted to help out more with him and everything because it was my nana and my papa, and he knew that she couldn't really, she's getting older and stuff, and he knew that, she wasn't going to be able to do all of it. So he moved there, and a year after, my grandpa got cancer, and I would go over there every Wednesday and every other weekend. And I'd even go there almost every day just to see him because I knew that if I didn't, and if I didn't, that would have been a whole waste of time that I would have regretted, which I loved my grandpa so much. Um, he, my parents both worked when I was younger. He'd come over, take me to Home Depot, and we'd make bird houses, cars out of wood and everything. I probably still even got them somewhere in my file that I kept. But you know, he knew that I really liked cars and everything. He taught me how to take a tire off. I was about 8 years old when he taught me how to do brakes, oil changes, um, basically all this stuff. We had a good bond and everything. We were really close. And one day, it was a Friday. I had everything packed, ready for the weekend. I brought it to school, had it in my last hour class because my teacher was there and she understood, he has his stuff that he's taking over there for the weekend. Um, I'm gonna let him just leave it there so that he can go and, you know. But my dad called me and he said, "Hey, we got to go to." It was like a retirement home, old folks home, whatever you want to call it. But he called me and he said, "Yeah, he's not doing too good. We got to say our byes." I get out there 20 minutes later and I see my dad put the phone down. And I was like, "What was that?" And he goes, "I'll tell you when we leave." And so we left, and on our way back to my grandma's house, my grandma, my aunt, my cousins, everyone was there. I was like, "What? What is this?" And I noticed none of them were like happy. None of them were like, "Oh, hey, hey," it was all like basically sitting around the table, and my cousins were crying, my aunts were crying, and my my dad started. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And I was confused, and so I said, "Are you guys all right?" And they looked at me, and they looked at my dad, and he goes, he doesn't know yet. And my dad's like, "I couldn't tell him." And so I sat down, and everybody told me that he passed away, and that's why we didn't go to see him after, because I guess right when I got out of school, like right when probably the bell rung, was when my dad got the call. And I just remember I was devastated. I didn't know. I thought it was fake. Basically, I seen him almost every day. I've never had a death from, my whole life up until 7th grade, that I ever had someone in my family that I was around so much die. I felt like he was still there, which I do believe he's still here. Like, I believe in spirits, but just not knowing that I wasn't going to see him again, just it was hard, and it still is. I get thoughts where almost for the whole day, I'll even think about him. That's how I know he's there and he's watching me, like, being my, basically, I want to say guardian angel. It might sound corny, but I do believe that's basically what it is. And so, oh, what was it? About a year down the road, um, my parents got back together. Not remarried, but my dad moved back into the house and everything, and it worked out for, I want to say, 8 months, and then it basically turned back to how it was, and they were like, we can't do it. So, he moved, or my mom moved out in July, which was, I want to say, a little over a year after they got back together at the same house, which is the one I'm at right now. And uh yeah, so my mom, she moved in with her friends. She's still with her friends. She's got a new boyfriend, same as my dad. They moved on, but my mom's still looking for a house, and it's been since July. Um, and seeing what my mom's been through, same as my dad, it's just hard knowing, you know, it it's happened, it's passed, but it never really does pass. They're like, you'll be fine and everything. It's gonna go away. It's kind of like an ongoing thing. Like there's a new thing almost every day, and it does get better and it doesn't. You know, um, a lot of people who are watching probably do have divorced parents. It's kind of a common thing, which it can be hard sometimes, and other times people might not even really think about it. They just move on with their lives and stuff, which mine, since July's coming up in about, I can't really think right now, but it's coming up in, I think, I'm just gonna take a wild guess, 4 months. Okay, so it's, why am I thinking it's August? Okay, so I can't even think about what month it is right now. But uh okay, now it's gonna be on me. Okay, so April. April is in like 3 days. April, May, June, July. So basically about 4 months. So it's coming up to be about a year, and it's still kind of, it's got its ups and downs. I mean, it's got more downs than ups, of course, but um, meaning basically life. It's been more like, you know, I want to say like life, seeing the end of the tunnel. We really haven't seen it. We're getting there. I know we are, because my mom's actually going to have her own place and stuff, and probably be in with her boyfriend, or he's finding another place. I don't really know the whole story to it, but it's just, a lot of stuff does go on, and sometimes it can seem like it happens like your life is just going downhill. Like mine was all in like a year's time, like year, but this happened through that year, this happened through that year, and this happened through that year. And a lot of stuff with friends and everything happened. I wasn't able to hang out as much as I used to be. Um, Now that I got a car and stuff, I'm hanging out with people quite a bit. Um, but I mean, I've seen kids at our school. I've known kids that have committed suicide at I don't want to say at school, but they were a part of our school. And hearing that, I'm like, oh man. I mean, people get a lot of stuff in their mind, but just know suicide is definitely not the answer. Um, it's just life, as hard as it might believe, it will have its advantages. Like, you aren't gonna be in the ground forever. You're gonna overcome everything. One day, I mean, trust me, right now, I I feel basically like I don't know. Like, I have a lot of goals in my mind and in my life that I try to achieve, and most of them I do. I mean, if you were to ask me when I was, let's say, around 8, where I would be today, and if you were to know what my life would have been like right now, I would have laughed in your face. I would have been like, no, that's not gonna happen. That's too good to happen. Because when I was younger, I didn't think that I'd have a job at my age like I do. I thought it was going to be something like, you know, that I want to care about, which I got a job right now working with classic cars that I would have never thought in a million years I would have had the opportunity to do, in which I love that. When I was younger, I mean, I've loved cars forever, but I thought my first car was going to be some Beat or something that, I wouldn't care about, which I bought my first car actually from my job. The manager there, he had it, and I loved it, and from working and everything and achieving my goals, I got the car I wanted, and um I didn't have to ask my parents for anything for it. I mean, I actually have redone the whole vehicle, which you've seen in my other videos on what I drive. It's a 94 GMC Sierra, and I completely redid the whole thing. My dad, he helped a lot with the build and everything, because at my age, he wants me to save my money for things that I want, which I want that truck and everything. But a lot of parts, I mean, I'm not going to say how much I put into that truck or how much he's put into that truck, because, I mean, first of all, I don't want to be saying, like, oh yeah, this is how much I'm breaking. No, I'm not, but um, it's a lot, and he knows it, and he's like, for someone your age who'd have to pay for that, I'd be a fool if I didn't take over. So he did that, which, knowing that I got a car that I do, I'm thankful for. I'm thankful I got a roof over my head. Like, I known I was gonna have a roof over my head. At the same time, stuff happens. Your house could frickin' come up to flames. I've seen on the news so many times, and it just makes me thankful and wants me to help people. I mean, if I see a charity somewhere, um, I'll go to it, and if it's for clothes, if it's for money, if it's for anything, food, you bet the whole list, I'll get whatever I can. If it's actual grocery shopping list, which I've seen Kroger do, and I've seen Neiman's do right around the corner from my house. I've taken them and I've donated them, because I know a lot of people do need help, and I know that even though my life has had its downhills, my life is it can be a huge uphill to other people's lives. Like, if you think you got it bad, there's probably you know, I shouldn't even say probably. There are people out there that really have nothing. They don't have a car, they don't have anyone in their family. I've actually met people driving through either Pontiac, Detroit, even around here. I don't have anyone in my family. I don't have a house. My house burnt up. My wife died. Um, you know, they didn't have kids or whatever. They had nothing. And I remember I went and got him some money, some uh I believe I even went to Dunham's and got him a coat because it was turning into fall, and seeing the joy on his face, I'm picturing it in my mind right now. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you did this for me." You know, there are people who care. And that to me showed me, you know, the littlest things. I mean, it was a big thing for him because, you know, he has nothing. And to give him some light and to show him that people actually care. You know, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people who have their head up high and don't even notice anyone around them, which I want to be that person who can make someone's life a whole lot better. And I've seen Ellen DeGeneres. I've been watching for a long time, and seeing some of the people who she has on her show shows me, you know, these people, they had it rough, and here she is helping them out. You know, I mean, I've seen her give cash out giveaways. She gave out cars to families who didn't have a car. I even seen a house. I mean, it's amazing what people can do if they all came together, and or if you do help them on your own, because people will notice you. People will notice, you know, how they're being looked at, you know. If I see someone who has raggedy clothes, you know, I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to be like, "Oh, look at that idiot. Can't afford anything." Instead, I'm going to help. I'm going to if I know the person and I know what they've been through, you know, I'm not saying a lot of people are telling the truth, but I know that the guy who I helped out, he actually really has lost everything. He had proof um that he actually had nothing, and I know a lot of people who have nothing can sometimes have a reason why they don't. And I've also came encounters with someone, and I can tell when somebody's being, you know, like, "Oh, help me, this happened to me," but it was really because of drugs and everything. And I know if somebody has lost everything um due to drugs and I don't think they've been helped out yet, what I'll do is I'll buy them food. Why food, not money? They can't take that money you give them and buy cocaine, weed, whatever you want to say, or even alcohol. Alcohol's a huge thing. In my perspective, I won't even touch it. I won't. I've seen what it does to people, and it's sad. A lot of people, they can actually, you know, I mean, majority of the world, they can tell themselves, okay, two's enough. They can limit themselves. A lot of people, they buy a 24 pack of Bud Light and they drink the whole thing within a night. And that's how a lot of people lose stuff. So buying food is so that they can eat. They can't use that money for hurting themselves, you know, because if you give them money they're more than likely going to spend it on what they did in the past. And a lot of people have learned from it. And I can also tell when people have gotten help because they are either at a charity such as you know, basically I want to call them like hand me down kind of things. Like if I were to want to take this shirt and give it to somebody else, um, and drop it off at a place. People who work at those, a lot of people get help from that, and I tell them every time I donate anything, I I love what they're doing because they're helping themselves out and they're also helping the world out, either with themselves, they're helping out with kid charities who either don't have parents or just foster, which basically are the same thing, but um I mean, there's a lot of things how to help people out. Talking was the thing that I noticed helped me out a lot, which I'm wanting you guys to know. If you guys are going through anything, you feel like you can't talk to your parents. I'm young. I've done stupid stuff. I mean, I'm not saying freaking jumping off a tree and breaking my neck or anything, but, we've all been young at a certain age, you know, or some part of our life. I shouldn't say a certain age. That didn't really make sense, but we've all been young, um, or even if you're not all that young. I've talked to people who are 40, 50, even, shoot, I want to say I've talked to, excuse me, two people who were in their 60s, and they were telling me stories about how their life was and stuff. And I noticed talking to people and shining light down on their lives and everything, giving someone to talk to, it 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 really does help a lot of people out. Trust me, I've talked to a ton of people, even counselors. I've talked to a counselor, and um my counselor was amazing. I honestly loved going in and just talking with her. Most of the time it wasn't even about anything going on in my life. It was just me talking to her, her talking to me about stuff. It it was pretty good, but it came to a point where I want to say I graduated it, but it wasn't really anything. I mean, I don't get counseling anymore because she had more people that she had to talk to with actual um problems and stuff, which I totally got it and stuff. But um yeah, I mean, I put on my story like I said on Snapchat, and I want to do it publicly. Uh just if anyone is going through anything, needs to talk, or even if you just want to talk and you're doing fine, go ahead. I mean, I'm a pretty social guy. I like talking to people. Um, Looking at what time, it 38 minutes into the video. So if you guys are even watching still, you know, I got your back. I've helped people out. I've helped friends out who I know have a kind of a crooked background with either their parents or whatever. Um but yeah, you know, if you are having a harder time, don't ever think to hurt yourself. Don't ever think you're not perfect, which no one's perfect. So, you know, it's just if you want to be perfect, go right for it. It's never going to happen. It's because we're all just living in the same world. We all need to combine. We all need to work as a team, which hopefully will happen anytime soon. Probably not, because this world's huge. There's different countries that don't want anything to do with us. There's our country that don't want stuff to do with other countries. And I think we all need to just come group, and for people who need help, they get help, because I'm telling you, life's a gift and live it like it's your last. Alright, guys, I'll see you in the next video. I'm sorry again, I haven't been uploading all that much. The last video I posted was probably 3-4 months ago, and that was actually working on a vehicle, which was mine. And that was, I think, the last video I posted, but hopefully I'll do others. I'll see you in the next one.